Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Motor Chaos with your host, Dave. I got online special guest, Wallace Sutherland Jr., who's going to be driving with the Pro E85 guys this year. How's it going, Wallace?
Pretty good, Dave. Pretty good.
So how did you get into the Pro E85 guys group this year?
Well, it kind of started of just following, like Frank on Facebook and seeing the guy just following the social media part of it of the racing down at Great Lakes Dragway.
Then you talked to who'd you talk to, Rich or Dwayne?
Well, it's kind of weird how it all happened. Here I am trying to build a new car, and I got this new motor going in there, and had some issues with the other motor. And so when I started seeing these guys doing the Pro 85, and then I'm switching over to E85 fuel, I was like, wow. How cool would that be? To race with these guys. Once I finally got my stuff all together,
Right,
and
yeah.
when I finally kind of got it together, and it was getting closer and closer, I started talking to Frank a little bit through Messenger, and then I think it was like Larry's Fun Fest. Him and Rich were going to be up there, and I was like, oh, cool. I've been waiting on this carburetor. Finally getting this thing together, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. And that's kind of how it all kind of started. I get up there, but my carburetor was so jacked up from the builder that I couldn't even make a pass. And it was one of those times where you're just so bummed out. You just can't even make a pass, and here you put all this work into it. But
Right.
but it came down. You're either sitting at home in the garage, not doing anything, or you're going to go to the track and you're going to try to figure something out. And Frank was there. He even offered. He had some jets, and we found out, it was a little bit more. There was more things wrong with it besides jets, but that's kind of how I kind of met him and Rich. And Rich were, they were there putting on a show and stuff for the people and the fans, and just had a pretty good time, even though I just loved the racing part of it. And so later on, Frank and I, we just kept in touch. And then he reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested. And I was like, oh heck yeah,
Yeah.
So and that's kind of how it started.
Frank the Assassin Morgan.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, good guy. I interviewed him. I've had Rich on. I've had him all. A lot of the guys been on. Not everybody though. So now, how did you get involved in drag racing in the first place? How many years ago did you start drag racing?
Well, that's kind of back probably. I mean, I'm 46 now, but you're talking back in teenager. We never had the money to build a race car or get to the track, and but we had Mustangs, and actually a buddy of mine had a Cordoba with a 360 small block in it, and we've done some small street racing, nothing what you see on TV nowadays. So I was hooked from in the hot rods and muscle cars from a very early age, and I always felt like I was born too late, and so that's kind of how I kind of got into it a little bit there back in the day. But basically, my life took a really maybe just a turn for the worse. Drinking and partying and stuff like that. Just it became more of my lifestyle, and I kind of got out of working on cars, having hot rods, and things like that. And the bad things and the wrong things were what got me kind of steered my life into the wrong direction. And anyway, after so many problems with the law and this and that, about 7 years ago, I decided I needed to get sober, and so I got sober in 2012, and I pretty much had to find a hobby that I could sink my teeth into and something that's going to keep me happy. And, I started building the motor, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to get back into this. I'm going to build a hot rod. And believe it or not, that's like when Street Outlaws came out. So I got it hooked into that show. And it was like, okay, and then I got the Nova. And then, one thing led to another. And next thing you know, I got 10 twin turbos. And so now I'm on my second engine. And my second set of turbos, I should have them in a couple weeks. And it's kind of evolved in the last probably 6 years. So every year it just gets more in depth. I'm just more into it, and I'm excited. I can't wait for this year because now the motor's been built, and now I'm just spending buku dollars on upgrades, and this thing should be pretty radical when season starts.
So 2012, you started racing. Where did you start racing, and what tracks did you go to?
Well, just up here at Great Lakes Dragway. I didn't start racing in 2012. Everything's, because I don't have, money up the wazoo to build a car. So basically what I started to do when I got sober was, okay, you know what? I'm going to build an engine. And so once I built the engine, it's like, okay, let's find a body. And, this car has been a complete... just a huge project, a huge undertaking. And so I started probably up there at Great Lakes Dragway like 3 years ago, running this car. And I had a 383 in it before, so had some issues with that. It was kind of a learning experience with the turbos and force induction. And so now... I totally abandoned the whole 383, and now I've got this 427 built out of a Dart Iron Eagle tall deck block, and kind of learned the hard way that the foundation of a good race engine is the block, and you got to spend the money on that block, and some good money on the parts that are inside of it, and so that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
So how many times have you taken the Nova down the track?
I don't know.
a rough guess.
25 times, probably.
And how'd you do with the car all those times?
Honestly, on the 383, it didn't do too much at all because it was such a learning experience that, I've got up to the 130, 140 mile an hour, which is fine, but when you're trying to learn that boost and the boost controller and the fuel, I was running race fuel, and it's just a huge learning experience when you're putting a power adder onto a motor. And so when I had some detonation issues with that engine, I totally just, I tore it down, I rebuilt it, I sold that motor, and I basically kind of started from scratch. So last year was kind of one of those things where you're saving for a crank, you're saving for rods, you're saving for pistons, and then you're piecing this thing together. And so, unfortunately, I was only able to make like 4 or 5 runs last year with the new setup, but I didn't hammer it down because I had a guy, kind of fix a carburetor, and there was some things that was right about it, but there was some things that wasn't right about it. And, I was just kind of taking it easy. I didn't want to just take, 15 grand and throw it down the toilet and, and just kind of grenade it, So I was just kind of taking it easy and breaking it in. But she's broke in now, and I've got some dyno money, and I'm going to take it to the dyno here in a couple months, and I'm going to get this thing tuned correctly. And I'm going to give it hell. This season is the where I want to go. I want to do more, and I've learned so much with the turbos and the force induction that I'm ready. I'm ready to hammer down and just let her eat.
Yeah, you got a lot of competition in that group, man. You got to get that car going, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve. It's gonna take a while to learn this bracket stuff. It's very competitive. It's not easy by far, and that's what's so that's so intriguing about it is because it's I love the being competitive, and just something that's not if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, and not everybody does it, and because it's not easy, but I just love the competitiveness, and it's gonna take. I'm not sitting here. I'm not making any predictions because my ass will be at the bottom of the ladder, and I'll be still tuning and trying to learn and trying to get this to be competitive with the guys that get this the 890 index. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Well, I'm sure that the guys in the Pro E85 groups will be glad to help you out if they got time.
Oh yeah, they've all been really nice and very helpful so far, and I know that that's going to continue on, and it's one thing I really enjoy about the track is it's kind of like family. You're family away from family, and it is such a different atmosphere when you're at the track.
Right.
Like when I took the car there and I had a bad day, right? I couldn't even do a burnout. That's how bad the carburetor was. I found out what the problem was. But even having a bad day, you can't even make a burnout. You're trying to drive the thing up and down the return road, trying to figure out what's going on with this thing. But even a day like that, I ended up having a decent day. I met Frank, I met Rich, there was racing going on there. So there's so many other positive things that happened that day to where it kind of outweighs the negative. But I just love it down there. It's the adrenaline and the rush you get from staging the car to a burnout to hauling ass 150 miles. It's such a rush, and I absolutely love it. I'm in it. I mean, I've sunk so much money into this car. I'm going for it.
Yeah, that's the awesome thing about drag racing because it's all one big family, man.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is.
Because I've all the guys I interviewed in the group, they all said it's just one big family. It's like a brotherhood, man.
Yes, it is, and I'm looking forward to that brotherhood. I've met some of the guys, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to Memorial Day weekend because that's the weekend that I'm really shooting for. And just go have some fun, and
Oh yeah, that's a big weekend, man.
Yeah, lay it down, let her eat, and just have some fun.
And it's the Chicago Wise Guys' 25th anniversary this year, man.
Yeah, yes it is. I got my Uncle Butch might be there racing with them. I'm not sure if that's 100%, but he knows a couple guys that race with those guys.
Nice.
So
those are a great bunch of guys too.
Oh yeah. There's the one thing is I every time I go there, I meet someone else, or like the guy that I'm going to go do the dyno. One guy seen my car at the tech lane, and he noticed the car. We started talking, and he's like, "Hey, my buddy's coming down. He owns his shop. He's got the dyno. Blah blah blah. I'll come on over and introduce when he gets in." And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." Sure enough, towards the end of while I was air braking the car in, and he come on over, introduce himself, give me his card, and he's the guy that I'm gonna go see and put my car on a chassis dyno and get this sucker tuned up perfect. So it's just when you go, you just never know who you're gonna meet, and it's just been a great experience.
Yeah, there's like so many awesome groups that race. You got the Classic American Muscle Association. Those are great guys, and you got the Gassers. They're all great people, man.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And here's the other thing: if you needed a part, or I've heard them announce over the intercom. Somebody's looking for a coil, somebody's looking for a push rod, this or that, and it just seems like somebody always has a part that you're looking for. Except for my case, where the carburetor's so jacked up, it needed to go back on the bench. It was pretty damn bad, but yeah, so it's awesome, man.
So now, before you started running at the Grove, did you used to go up there and watch racing before that?
Yeah, I've been up there quite a few times throughout the years with buddies, and so I kind of knew the track before I even got the race there. So yeah, throughout the years, here and there, on and off.
So did you used to go there when Broadway Bobby used to run the track?
Well, I remember that name, but then again, I don't remember that name.
Nah, you can't miss Broadway out there. The old guy, great, holding a beer out there all the time and walking around, man.
Yeah, like I said, I remember him, but I don't remember him because it's like I would say that I didn't go every year.
Yeah.
But I have been to that track many times throughout the year. Yeah, because again, when I was doing the wrong thing.
Right.
You got to understand, when you're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, half of the shit you don't remember anymore anyway.
Yeah, you don't remember, and you try to make as many races as possible, but because I was doing the wrong thing,
yeah.
You're sitting on a bar stool next to a bunch of other people,
Right.
And unfortunately, that's where a lot of my life actually took place. So.
Yeah, that part gets fuzzy, man.
Yeah, so now I'm, I go to work, I come home, I work on the car.
That's awesome. Now you get high on drag racing.
Yeah, pretty much. pretty much. I mean, it is a drug. I got to tell you, it's the adrenaline from it. I get all excited, when my car's loaded on the trailer and we're going there. I mean, my heart starts pumping and it's like the adrenaline starts flowing. And it's like, I just can't wait. I count the days down that I am going to go race, but once you're there, your heart starts pounding, even when you're staging and then you're doing the burnout but the rush when you let go of the trans brake button and you're just hammering it down, it's, I'd never had a turbo car ever in my life. When we did racing back in the day, it was all NA. We didn't have nitrous. We didn't have money for all that. And, we just kind of, if we needed parts, we'd go to the junkyard. And we did what we could with what we had. So when I remember the first time I felt the turbos and I felt the boost kick in, I was hooked. Right then and there, I wanted more. And now... like I said, I'm waiting on my new turbos right now, and they're bigger. So, this thing, it's just more,
Yeah, you get that need for speed, man.
Oh yeah, it's very addicting. It very is, but yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, my dad started taking me to Great Lakes Dragway. I was about 4 or 5. I was going to Great Lakes Dragway and the other track that closed down in Indiana, US 30 drag strip. You said you're 46, right?
Yeah, 46.
I'm 4 years older. Yeah, I'm 50. So man, so I started going there with like 4 or 5. So that's how I got into drag racing. My dad got me into it, dragging me to Great Lakes Dragway and US 30 drag strip all the time, man.
Yeah, for me, my dad never really took me to the drag racing, but when we were kids, my dad used to take us to Wilmot Racetrack. It was like every Saturday night we went to Wilmot to watch dirt racing.
Yeah, they still do that too.
Oh yeah, they do. So yeah, he's taken me to a few tracks. He's never taken me to the Great Lakes. I went there, after the fact and once I got older and stuff. But
now, have you ever been up to 41 up there in Indiana?
No. I've been to a track up in, I can't even remember the name, but it was out in Phoenix, Mesa, Arizona. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I've been to Route 66, and I've been to Great Lakes. So there's been a couple of ones that I've wanted to do, but, I am married, and I do have a wife, and sometimes the wife doesn't want to go to racing.
Right.
So it gets a little tired of the racing here, and so when we go out somewhere, she wants to do something besides racing.
So does your
So
wife?
you gotta make the little lady happy sometimes.
Does the little lady like drag racing?
Honestly, she does, but she don't. The one time, actually, the time that I met Frank and Rich, I was sitting there. I was having issues, and I'm like, I'm going to take this carburetor off. So I'm sitting there in the parking lot, got my tools. I'm sitting there down, and all of a sudden, the wife shows up. I didn't even know she was coming. She was just surprising me. She wanted to see the car run, and she got hooked. And she says, now I know why you like racing. And I says, why? And she says, Wally, there's like electricity in the air. And I was like, yeah. And I says, you bring a car. I says, besides electricity, I said, bring your own car. And I said, the electricity just amplifies. And she's like, well, if you ain't going to run, come, let's go watch some racing. And I says, okay, and we went up there and we we just sat there and watched racing. But she just got into it. 2 weeks later, we get home, or 2 weeks later, she gives me a call and says, hey, I found this enclosed trailer for sale over, and I forgot what town it was in. And she's like, call Uncle Butch and see if you go buy this trailer. And I said, what? What are you talking about? She says, it's in a used enclosed trailer, for the racing. She says, when we go racing, then I got a place to camp out in, and if the weather is bad. And I'm like, hold on a second, But seriously, after 2 weeks after being at the track, she kind of went, she got the bug,
Yeah.
Next thing you know, she's wanting to buy an enclosed trailer and this and that, and I talked her out of it. Now I wish I wouldn't have talked her out of it, but it was only a 24-footer, and I wanted something a little bit bigger. But yeah, she loves it when she's there. Now she's looking for a Oldsmobile 442 that she wants, like 84, 87 style car, classic car that she wants for herself. So that's what she's looking for right now.
Cool. Is she just looking to drive that, or she wants to go drag racing?
No, she ain't gonna be drag racing. It would be like a cruiser.
Yeah.
She loves cars. Believe it or not, she bought a 1990 Chevy Corvette convertible. We had that for a while, and she just got done. She didn't want to drive it no more, so we got rid of that. And now, she wants a Oldsmobile. So pretty soon we'll have another classic car in the garage, but it'll be cool.
So has anybody inspired you that, when you watch drag racing, any drivers inspire you out there?
You're going to think, I don't, well, then again, I really don't care what people think, but this is where it's probably a little cliche. Some people may say it's a little cliche, because when I got sober, in 2012, and when I started building this motor, I started watching Street Outlaws. And it was like season 1, Flip was on there, and I just got into that show. The one guy, Sean Ellington, who runs Murder Nova, I don't know, there's something about his personality on the show that, but I seen these guys, and they were just like, just like us, like any other person. And it's like, they got this car, they got a car, and you watch a show, and they just kept on, upgrading and changing, and throughout all the years, is where they are now. But if I would say if I had an inspiration, it would be Murder Nova, Sean Ellington.
So is that why you got a Nova?
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. I wanted a 69 Camaro, but they want way too. They want too much money, and you're going to spend $6 to $8 grand for a rust bucket, And if you pay $10 grand, it's just the amount of money that it would take to get a rolling chassis in a 69 Camaro was just unbelievable. So I had to get a little bit realistic with my, what I could really afford, and I could get more for my money if I went to a Nova. And there was just certain years that I would only take, and it was 68 to 72 Novas. And when I found this 72, it was all over. It was red, and it was perfect.
Now, have you ever seen Gene Neesmith from the Chicago Wise Guys Nova?
Yeah, I seen it last year. I seen it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful blown off, man. The purple and black.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think my Uncle Butch is friends with that guy.
Yeah, he's getting that thing dialed in now. He's going to be one to look for this year, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely, there's so many fast cars in that group. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. The just run what you brung, classes. It's very competitive. It's very competitive. It comes down to how fast you want to go and how much money you got.
Now you think you ever have the money to go into a pro mod?
No.
And run with the wise guys?
No. I am. It takes a lot to just do what I have right now, and trying to be competitive in just the 8-second class is hard enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So trying to, afford a pro mod and all that other stuff, it's just, that's, right now it's, I would say no.
Well, you know what they say? They say never say never,
Oh, yeah.
You got that need for speed, man. You never know, man.
Yeah, the need for speed is definitely there, but, when you don't have the cash for that type of speed, then, you got to settle for what you got.
Got to go 200 miles per hour out there, man.
Pardon me?
Going 200 miles per hour out there with the wise guys.
Yeah, that'd just be a wish or a dream, but, like you said, never say never, but it takes, to be at that caliber, it just takes tons and tons of money, and I know what I put into my car just over the winter alone, and it's taken so much overtime and, all my extra cash to do it. So it'd be very, very hard to do something like that.
So when you take that Nova out this year, do you have any crew members or just you?
It would just be like me and maybe a buddy, or me and my Uncle Butch. Unfortunately, when you get sober, you have to distance yourself. You have to change people, places, and things. And I've done some stuff, and I'll invite some of the people that I used to hang out with, and you know what, they don't show up. And which is fine. They're going to do their thing, and I'm going to do my thing. So I don't have a huge following. So I'm kind of a one-man band, and I normally try to find a buddy to kind of, come and help. And other than that, that's it. Because I built my car. I built everything from the engine to the transmission, rear end. The only thing I didn't do was do the welding on the cage. I had a professional race car chassis builder. He did all the welding and stuff like that on the cage. I wanted it perfect and safe. So, but other than that, I mean, I've done everything myself. So I know everything, and so just having a little bit of help, it always helps. But yeah, I'm normally by myself, with a buddy or so.
All right, now, so what was the experience like for you to go down a drag race track for the first time ever with that Nova?
What's that?
What was the experience like for you to go down a drag race track, Great Lakes Drag Race, for the first time ever with the Nova?
The first time I went down the drag strip with the Nova, I probably felt like I was swallowing my heart. I don't know if you've never done it. It's really hard to explain. But you start thinking about every nut and bolt that you put into the car. Your mind is there, and is it you want to do good. You don't want to embarrass yourself, so when you sit there and you watch people is one thing, but when you build your own and you get in the lane and you get staging, you feel like you got a frog in your throat, and your heart is pounding 1,000 miles an hour, and you're sweating. At least I am. You do have that fear factor too. It's scary too, and I hope that the fear never goes away, because when a fear does go away, it's probably time to stop. But for me, that's just, I can only speak for me. And but when you let go of the button, just the adrenaline rush and it's unbelievable. I mean, and then you get down once and you're happy, and then you do it again and you do it again, and then when you hit 130 mile an hour, you hit 140 mile an hour, and you're going faster and faster and faster, and the more you do it, you're getting more comfortable with the car, and you're getting a feel for it. It's kind of like a dance, you're getting to know your partner, and then when you built it yourself, that's even a better feeling. It's one of the best feelings I think I've ever had my whole life by doing this, and it's just, I've gotten hooked by it, and I can't wait till the season starts. I can't wait to get to the dyno, man. I want to get this thing tuned, and it's I'm really excited about this year, because now with the new motor in there and it's doing good and everything else, I just can't wait.
So are there any names from the Pro E85 guys that you're looking forward to lining up with?
Yeah, Frank. Yeah, he's the one that I talk to all the time on Messenger, and he's a really great guy, and but he was the first guy I ever met, and he's the one that kind of extended the invite and kind of asked me would I like to do it and stuff like that, and when I told him I was coming, the guy don't even know me, and he's like, oh, I'll save you a spot, we're normally over here, and I was like, oh wow, cool, okay, cool. And so when we showed up, I texted him and said, hey, I'm here, and blah blah blah. And next thing I know, he's like, oh, I saved you a spot, and it was just like, he's like, oh yeah, hey, how's it going, and just, hey, park right here. And so we go back to that brotherhood thing, and
Right.
So since he's been kind of like the guy that I've talked to all the time, it's like I'd love to line up with him.
Yeah, when I interviewed him, he's like he invited me down for next year to have some barbecue cooking. I'm like, okay, I'll be there.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So it's been quite a ride.
Yeah. So now you don't have no kids, right?
No, I had a misspent childhood. So I didn't. I didn't have any kids with anybody. Believe it or not, my wife doesn't have any kids. She's a couple years older than me, and we have fur babies. We have 3 female dachshund dogs, and we have 2 male cats. And that's it, man. And my baby is this car.
Yep, I was just about to say that Nova's your baby.
Yeah, the wife calls her the mistress too sometimes, But yeah, I put when I painted this thing, I had my buddy Jim Brando. He come on over and he pinstriped Serenity on the side of the car. And a lot of people don't understand what that means, but the Serenity part is, the Serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Right.
And this car is therapy for me, and racing is therapy. And when I'm out here working on the car, it is my serenity. It is my peace. It's my, kind of like my spirit in a sense. And, it just helps me think about other things instead of doing the wrong thing,
Right. That's good.
So that's my story.
Well, that's a good story. I'm glad you were able to turn your life around, man.
Yeah, it's been a huge experience. I'm very thankful for what I have, and I'm very thankful I was able to do it. So many people cannot do it, and they try, and I'm just very thankful that I was able to do it, and to have that support system, and and kind of a tolerant wife that lets me just work on this car all the time. She's got a real busy job too, so she does her own jobs, but this is just like I said, my new obsession, you could say.
So what kind of tires you running on?
My tires are brand new. I've got, right now, the new ones on the rear are Mickey Thompson. They're 28 by 10.5 bracket radial drag slicks. So they are a radial tire, but they're what they call the pro bracket radials. And it's a drag slick. So there's no run out numbers. You don't measure them. They're basically for consistency, consistent numbers. Some people run the bias ply, which is, I guess everybody has their own preference. I went with these. I'm a kind of a radial guy. I wanted to do some small tire radial races too this year, so that's kind of why I wanted to stick with the radial tire. But that's what I got going on right now.
So now you gonna be doing any wheel stands on the starting line?
Well, spinning ain't winning, and we'll see. It might get up there. My gearing is a little different because of it being a turbo car, so I don't know. The last time out, it wanted to lift the front end, so will it do what those guys do? Maybe, maybe not. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yep. Now, where do you get your fire safety equipment from? Stuff like that, your suit and all that stuff.
Well, my shoes are it's race quip. I got race quip shoes, race quip pants. I've got a Simpson coat, and you can get them at your Jegs and Summit. The gloves are race quip as well. I got race quick helmet. Everything's SFI, double layer, triple layer, whatever the hell it is. It's.
So now, what's the fastest time you've had with that Nova so far before the changes on it?
Was it 100? It was only in, and some people are going to say, oh, well, you got a lot of work to do, and I do have a lot of work to do, but it was low 11s. But I was doing a lot of changing. Like I had a turbo 350 tranny in there, and I had some issues of it slipping, so I pulled that out. Then I put a turbo 400 with a trans brake in it. And, when I did the low 11s, I hit the 131 mile an hour mark. I did hit 140, but the time was about the same. I had basically trying to get out of the hole was a problem. But I think I've kind of figured a few things out to be able to come out of the hole a little bit better. One was kind of softening up the leaf spring suspension, the tires. I have basically the launch wire for the turbos now, so I know how to build the two-step. And So I only got to get a couple seconds, and I'll be in that zone. But this new setup is it'll get there. It'll get there. It won't take much at all, and I'll be in that zone.
All right, now Wallace, do you have any hobbies outside of drag racing?
No.
No.
I honestly don't. Maybe I should. I do work on the house, kind of. I'll grab a project, and stuff. But right now, it's like I guess I'm so obsessed with the car and racing that everything I do and everything I buy, it's all about the car. What can I do to make the car better? And when I hit those times before, that was with the old setup. I was still kind of learning I was still trying to learn the whole turbo and the whole force induction. So this time going around, I learned what happened. I know what I had to change, and I've done that. The E85 fuel is one of the biggest reasons, that is going to basically help me with these turbos because of the alcohol-based fuel. Help cool down the cylinder pressures. So it'll get there.
Yeah, it'll take some time, but it'll get there.
Oh yeah. I still have, after I get this thing tuned, I'm gonna be at the track, practicing, and I'll be testing it and tuning it, and but yeah, I'll be able to get it there.
All right. Now let me ask you a couple of fun questions before we finish up this interview. What's your favorite food to eat?
My favorite food?
Yeah.
Lasagna.
Favorite beverage?
Monsters.
All right.
Monster energy drinks.
Favorite music?
Classic rock and roll.
What's your favorite classic rock and roll band? Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, come on.
Probably Sammy Hagar.
Hagar, huh? The Red Rocker.
Oh, yeah.
I Can't Drive 55. There you go.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Probably Top Gun.
Good old Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
What was your favorite cartoon when you're growing up as a kid?
Favorite cartoon?
Yeah, when you were a kid, did you have one?
Oh, God.
Tom and Jerry, Woody Woodpecker, something like that. Looney Tunes.
Shit. Probably Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Watch that a lot.
All right, so what's been the fondest memory so far in drag racing for you?
Fondest memory. Getting this new 427 motor in the car. Because it was just, and I know it has nothing to do with the racing part of it, but it's kind of been it's a dream engine is what it is. And if that isn't a good answer, the fondest memory is probably the first time I went down the track.
Awesome. Well, Wallace, I want to thank you very much for doing an interview tonight.
Yeah, sure. Not a problem. I appreciate the phone call.
Do you have any final words or thank yous you want, anything like that?
Pardon me?
I said, do you have any final words or thank yous or anything you want to do out there?
I just, thanks to Rich Black and Frank Morgan for being so cool that one day, and I'll be seeing them soon.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and my wife and I'll be looking forward to see you at the track at Great Lakes Dragway this year, man.
Yeah, I'll see you out there.
You have a great night and try to stay warm,
Yeah, it's getting cold.
All right.
That's for sure.
All right. Thanks again, Wallace. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.